optimistic because one of the things we do incredibly well in this country is constant technical innovation, whether it's on products or services or processes. We drive down cost, we drive out carbon, and increasingly we're embracing digital as the great unlocker of data and also opportunity. And I guess my role in that is to make sure the regulatory structure is in place, to make sure that there are appropriate incentives if we believe that taxpayers should be involved in those incentives. And of course, the trend is always to get to subsidy-free as quickly as possible, but also to step in where we perceive there to be market failure. And people will say, well, what about the role of the regulators? And of course, it's always a challenge as to whether regulators have the right statutory powers. And I just did want to mention the price cap, because I know I've discussed this with many, many people in the room. This is not some underground attempt to renationalise the energy sector. You know, there's a party out there that would like to do that, and it's certainly not ours. But what it is doing is essentially saying we believe very strongly in well-regulated free markets, but where you have a market failure, where you have the existence of a failure that is actually enhanced by digitisation, because in this case you will know the least connected consumers, those least likely to switch, are those who tend to be the most, who are digitally furthest away from their purchasing decisions. And I actually think the price cap has landed in a really good place because it's time limited. Ofgem is obviously setting the cap based on consideration of all the competitive forces in the market and the investment needs of other issues like smart meters. But it will protect consumers from pricing mechanisms that, frankly, are costing them too much. And it will do it in a way that I think incentivises the industry to deal with those pricing structures and bring forward more innovation in a short order. So it was supported very strongly cross-party. We are very committed to getting this in by year end, and for some people for year end is February, for me it's December, and so far we're proceeding well and working with Ofgem and the new management team on that. The concept of Green GB Week was to celebrate actually what we've done, because too often these conversations never go outside the sort of niche conversation about low carbon. They don't make it into the mainstream. We don't tell people that they should be really proud of what we've done in the UK. And by the way, in making these choices, we have not put bills up. We know that bills have come down. We've put some prices up as we've all invested in the transition. That's been spread across all consumers. But bills have gone down since 2012 because of the improvements in energy efficiency, often directly supported by programmes like ECO. We also tell people we haven't had to have some, massive drawing in of our economic ambitions. In fact, I talked about our leadership. The G7 group, we've led that group in growth since 1990 and in carbon emissions reduction. So this idea that the low carbon future is a cold, dark place to be is completely wrong. And so we're able to now have this conversation about the opportunity from clean growth and the imperative to cut those emissions further in a way that I think resonates much better with the vast majority of people who are paying for it through their taxes or through their bills.